Joel Johnson here. Hey, before we get started today on our 401k account checkup, make sure you subscribe to this video, to this channel, and also make sure you click on the little red bell. You will get notifications anytime I upload a new video to this channel. This channel is all about your retirement planning, your investment planning. I shouldn't say it's just about retirement. It's about your investment planning. It's about estate planning. It's about taxes. It's about all kinds of different issues. Even what you can teach your grandkids about money that they won't listen to if their parents try to teach them. So we've got all kinds of great subjects. And so make sure you subscribe and again, click on that little bell because that will ensure that you get notification when we upload new videos. Today, again, we're talking about the 401k checkup. You know, you get an annual checkup, maybe even more than annual physical to make sure you're healthy. But do you do a checkup on your 401k to make sure it is healthy? So let's talk about a number of things. And again, I'm just going to touch on what we're going to talk about, then we'll come back and go into detail on each one. We're going to talk about your contributions and how much should you contribute based on your age. We're also going to give you a little checklist where we go through the investments, the risk and rebalancing strategies, your withdrawal strategies, so important, your beneficiaries, how should you dictate beneficiaries and decide on beneficiaries, and also some magical things that happen at age 59 and a half and 55. So all kinds of great information on your 401k. Let's get started with contributions. Oh, by the way, before I forget, we're not just talking about 401ks here either. We're talking about 403bs. So if you work in the not-for-profit sector, you might have a 403b. You might have a simple IRA. You might have a 401a. Any account where you can defer money into it out of your paycheck, that's what we're talking about here. But we can kind of catch them all by saying 401k strategies. So contributions, how much should you contribute? Well, and what kind of contribution should you make? If you're in your 30s, it's my belief that you should be putting everything into the Roth side of your 401k. Yes, Roth is something fairly new. Roth IRAs are something fairly new. They're only 20 years old, so I would consider that fairly new in the history of the U.S. But the Roth 401k, that Roth bucket inside your 401k where you can say, no, I don't want it to go into the pre-tax side, I want it to go into the Roth side, that is really, really important the younger you are. Taxes are going up. You know, there are not a lot of guarantees in life, but I think based on the spending that our federal government is doing, based on the inflation that's coming down the pike, based on some of the stimulus that we've done recently, taxes are going up. It might be phantom taxes. When I say phantom taxes, it might be things like, you know, inflation and so on and so forth. But taxes are going to go up in one way or the other. And I think if you're young, if you can pay taxes on your contributions today, not necessarily get that tax deferral today, right? But you have all that tax-free income in the future. You can leave money tax-free to heirs in the future. I think that's a home run. So if you're in your 30s, contribute to the Roth side of your 401k. If you're in your 40s, it depends. It kind of depends on how high your income is now versus what it might be in retirement. Depends on how much control you have over your income in retirement and how much control you have over it now. And it depends, you might be a business owner where you have 1 year where you make over $1 million and you have another year where you make very little. So in your 40s, I could go either way. In your 50s, I could also go either way, again, depending on how much money you've saved. So when I was 55 or 56, somewhere in there, I changed all my contributions in my 401k from pre-tax to Roth. From pre-tax to Roth, meaning I'm willing to pay some taxes today so that I'll have tax-free money in the future to either spend myself or to leave to my kids. Is there a guarantee taxes will be higher in the future? For me, I believe there is. But even if there's not, at least I'll have some options in retirement because I've got so much money over on that traditional side or on the pre-tax side of that 401k. In your 60s, you need a retirement plan. You've got to figure out a long-term income plan, and depending on what that long-term income plan is, that'll decide whether you want to put money into the Roth side or the traditional side. So what we've talked about here is Roth, meaning you pay taxes today and it's tax-free forever on your contributions, or traditional where you get a tax deduction today, but you're going to have taxes when you take it out. Now let's go back up to the top and let's talk about how much you should contribute. I believe you should contribute 15% of your income to your retirement plan, or to long-term savings, I should say. And a lot of that should be in a retirement plan. Remember, retirement plans are protected from the claims of your creditors. So if you can get money into that 401k, into that simple IRA, into that 403b, there's protection from the claims of your creditors. So the majority of your retirement savings, if you're of moderate income or slightly above average income, should be in a 401k. How much should you contribute? Again, 15%. Why do I repeat myself? Because it's critical. If you can contribute, if you can start in your 30s and contribute 15% of your income to the 401k, by the time you get to age 55, you'll be able to live like none of your friends. Your standard of living, your choices in life will be absolutely phenomenal if you can start and save 15%. And remember, a lot of times you save 15%, your employer matches another 3, 4, 5, 6%. So that's how much to contribute, 10 or 15%. Now, you say, Joel, there's no way I can do that. I've got all these family obligations at home. Okay, set a 2-year goal of getting up to 15% in 2 years. You should probably get raises over that 2-year period of time, so make sure you up your contribution based on those raises. Just sort of hold your salary steady and put more and more into that 401k. Maybe every quarter or so you put an extra 2%, but don't say you can't do it, because if you can't do it now, you're really going to have a problem in the future. So do whatever it takes, get up to 10 to 15%. Okay, so I think we covered contributions and how much to put in. Let's go through a checklist. Okay, this is our checkup. Let's go through a checklist on your 401k. Investments. How should you invest your money? In an ideal world, you sit down with a financial planner and you come up with an investment strategy. You come up with a long-term financial plan, and you adjust that as time goes on, because again, financial plans change all the time. You set up a plan and then you adjust that plan based on outside circumstances and based on your own personal situation. If you can't sit down with a financial planner, if that's intimidating to you, you've never trusted anybody in your life to get any kind of advice, then there are these things inside your 401k called target date funds. What you do is you pick a date, a year that you think you're going to retire, and you just put all your money in that target date fund, and then the 401k will adjust the contributions and adjust the investments based on when you're going to retire. The closer you get to retirement, the more conservative they'll get. When you're far away from retirement, they'll be more exposed to the stock market to get the maximum growth. So if I'm 35 today and I'm going to retire in 30 years, then I would pick a 2055 fund, which would, get us out a little bit more than 30 years. And that way, I would be very risky today with my investments. I don't see it. I'm just in one fund, but they're adjusting it internally. And the closer I get to retirement, they get more conservative. So that's a little bit about the investments. But again, in an ideal world, you sit down with a financial planner and you get something that's customized to you. Risk and rebalance. Most people today are taking way too much risk. If you're close to retirement, chances are you're taking way too much risk because of what's happened in the stock market recently, because we've just been going up and up and up and up. And we don't feel risk anymore because there hasn't been a bad downturn. There hasn't been a long-term bear market in a while, although we might be going through one right now. But for the most part, go back to 2010 and take 2010 through 2020, not really any kind of a big downturn in the market, including the year we had COVID, where it went down and snapped right back up again. So rebalancing is the secret sauce. That's why in those target date funds, it automatically rebalances you. If you have a good financial plan that's put together with a good financial advisor, they're automatically rebalancing your accounts. What's your withdrawal strategy? Now this, you want to think about whether if you're already in retirement or if you're about 5 years coming up to retirement, what is your withdrawal strategy? Meaning, what accounts are you going to take your income from in retirement? For instance, should you take money out of your 401k and defer Social Security as long as possible? Should you do the opposite? Maybe take Social Security out because you don't have as much control over Social Security, and defer money in your 401k and take that income out later. So what is your withdrawal strategy when it comes to your 401k? Beneficiaries on your 401k. It used to be just automatic. You'd put your spouse on if you're married or if you have a partner, and then after that it's the kids or grandkids. Well, that might not necessarily be the right thing, because you're making a decision based on your estate plan. You should have an estate plan, and also based on who needs money and taxes, which are huge. So you may want to make sure that your beneficiary is not your spouse, that it's a trust. Or maybe your spouse is all set up, they have enough money, and so you skip right to the kids or the grandkids when you pass away. It's important you put some thought into this. You know, most of us made these default beneficiary designations when we were younger. It's always my spouse, and then it's my kids after that. You might be creating a tax time bomb by not adjusting those beneficiary designations. And then something magical happens, as I mentioned earlier, at age 59 and a half and at age 55. And there's another one I might just draw on there as we talk here. In fact, I'm going to do that. And that's called free up taxes. Free up tax-free money. We'll just put that down. That'll remind me to talk about that, okay? But let's talk about age 59 and a half and age 55. When you hit age 59 and a half and some plans age 55, they give you the opportunity to roll money out of that 401k into an individual retirement account. That's a tax-free transaction, but now you have flexibility and control. Remember, when you have money in a 401k, you're not the client. The company is the client. Let me say that again. When you have money in a 401k, a 403b, that company you work for is the client. So if you work for, let's say, Lockheed Martin, and you have money in Lockheed Martin's 401k, Lockheed Martin is the client there. You're not. You roll that money out of the 401k, and now you are the client, whether it's the client directly with the provider, whether it's Fidelity or Vanguard, or whether you have a financial advisor, you are now the client. There's a better level of protection as a fiduciary deals with your account. So at age 59, in almost every plan, and some plans at age 55, you can do a rollover even though you're still working for that company. I would suggest you consider that. Again, it gives you more flexibility and more control, and you may be able to free up tax-free income. What do I mean by that? Many of you have 401ks where you've got after-tax contributions in those 401ks. It might have happened because you put too much money in one year and they had to flip pre-tax to after-tax. It might happen because you just made after-tax contributions for a while, but now they're trapped in this 401k. You have pre-tax money that's all tax deferred, and you have this after-tax money that's trapped in that 401k. If you do a rollover of that 401k, the after-tax money, the money you've already paid taxes on, gets freed up. It gets separated out. You may be able to do a Roth conversion with that money. Gets a little technical here, but the bottom line is by looking at these rollovers from either a 401k where you used to work at the company, you don't anymore, or you're age 59 and a half or age 55, you have some options that most people don't even know that they have. Old 401ks also, you might want to simplify your life and combine those. Most of the time when we deal with clients, we combine those old 401ks. We don't leave them behind at the old company. We roll them over into an IRA. So a lot of things here that we've covered, but as far as the 401k checkup, think about your contributions. What type of contributions are you making and how much are you contributing? And then let's go through that checklist, your investments, your risk and rebalancing strategy, your withdrawal strategy. Don't just take it for granted. Beneficiaries, chances are you ought to update those beneficiaries. The magical things that happen at age 59 and a half and age 55, and of course, freeing up those tax-free dollars. That's all the things that you need to make sure you've got in place to be an effective 401k investor. Again, subscribe to our channel and click on that little bell, because then every time we do an update, I upload a new video, you'll get a notification of that.